agreeing to do this. I hope you are doing well. You are staying safe and remaining indoors. It's very happy to have you over here with us. And do tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and what is it that you are doing right now.
Well, I'm doing completely fine. I hope everyone is safe right now, as you well, and everyone who is watching. These days, I'm simply consuming a lot of content, trying to meet a lot of people on LinkedIn, trying to learn new things on LinkedIn, read a lot of stuff about cultures, about how the brain works, how the habit works. I thought to take a backseat and try to understand the core of marketing, which is psychology and how the basis of society works. So these days I'm just doing that.
Fantastic, fantastic. That's really good to hear. And now, the first question that I am asking most of the guests who are appearing on the show is the impact of COVID-19 on business, of course. So, how has COVID-19 impacted you as a professional in your particular domain? And, of course, the
Right.
industry in itself that you operate in?
So so the good thing about my industry or our industry is we are into the media and entertainment sort of industry, though we call ourselves as digital media industry and entertainment. It's as everyone know that the demand has already gone up because everyone is living inside and consuming a lot of content. So on the demand side, it's a good thing for us in such a bad and bizarre time. I hope everything gets fine. The other side, which is good for us, is every marketer out there, every digital marketer out there who is in this industry. It's only digital that you can do. Any outdoor marketer, any other marketing is not possible. So if you are a digital marketer at your own company, your job is best right now at play because all the ad spends are less. I mean, it's significantly less for a lot of people. So these are the two basic things that has happened for us. We have not faced that. I mean, some industries have faced way worse than us, but we are at a good state right now.
True, true, true. So, of course, there have been certain industries that have been hit really hard. Like, of course, travel is one of them, and e-commerce to a certain extent. And well, there are a few others that I can name. But it's been, I guess, a bit of a boom for industries like OTT and online media, and I would say to a certain extent, even fintech for that matter, edtech for that matter. They have been doing really well. So, has this change affected the job profile that you are in by a massive extent, by in a large way? Has the amount of work that you generally, of course, used to have increased?
Okay, well, so there are two kind of people that you will hear these days. One kind of people are saying that okay, we are getting a lot of work because this is the time where we are getting a lot of work. I think no, my work has not significantly increased. My value has increased a lot. Like how much people were used to respect because we are the only ones who will save, not the sales guys, because sales guys cannot pitch and close a deal. It's very difficult right now. So we are
Sure,
the only one.
sure.
A lot of e-commerce and the product or a transaction level companies, I feel the digital marketers are acting as part-time sales guys as well because they are also responsible to close those transaction
Hmm.
funnels.
Hmm.
So I don't think any digital marketer right now is facing that big, I mean, challenge in terms of load of work. But the value has increased for sure. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, a related question to the thought that we are on right now. Do you think traditional job roles in the digital space have changed? So, for example, I think there has been a sort of an evolution for, let's say, a marketing and a growth manager. Would you like
Right.
to comment on that evolution?
Yes, I do feel the evolution has changed. Let me be honest with you. What I have seen in just 3 years, I have seen the mindset of digital marketers or just marketers have completely changed on two levels. Now, anyone who is into traditional marketing knows for a fact that he or she needs to know the basics of digital marketing, even if you are not practicing, but you need to know. Salespeople need to know the basics of digital marketing because the moment the client asks, "Hey, what's your CPV? Hey, what's your CPM?" If you are not able to tell that, you cannot ask your digital team to say, "Hey, my CPM is this," and you just copy and paste because for sure the client is going to ask you basic questions. So everyone needs to know that. In starting, people used to think that okay, we will handle this, we'll handle that. on the digital front, what I see is a big mind shift from just doing the work, which we used to call as performance marketeers, uh, having a little bit shift towards growth mentality. Now, some people call themselves as growth hackers on LinkedIn. I don't know if they are really or not, but there has been a change in the mindset altogether, and everyone is so just to clear it out. If I'm a performance marketer at an e-commerce company, my job uh, maybe is to just improve clicks,
Hmm.
but these days people are thinking full funnel to acquire users, to retain them, maybe beyond that, to convert them into a transaction.
Awesome.
uh, it's a little different mentality shift which is happening. It's good. I think it will just get better.
Awesome. So you commented, of course, on based on your own experience and from what you have observed. Now, putting things into perspective of the last 3 months, I would like to understand whether the COVID-19 pandemic has had any impact on the traditional job roles that we are in right now as a marketing manager or as a growth manager, considering so many of the things that were given in regular days, like marketing budgets, for example, or the traditional marketing strategy, for example, is to basically acquire and then nurture. Has that changed because of the pandemic? So due to which the roles itself have evolved in a certain way. Do you feel something about that?
I don't think roles cannot or will never evolve in just 3 months. Roles just get adapted in just 3 months. Now it will evolve if the behavior right now we are seeing keeps on continuing. So let's say the people who have shifted to the digital age, you will see a lot of new users coming to Instagram, new users coming to Facebook. Now, who are these new users? There are two things. Either these people were old traditional TV users who just shifted to new users, which basically means that on one side, the traditional broadcast media's users just got shifted.
Hmm.
If that has happened and if it stays, then for sure, the traditional people will face a little issue in terms of budget shifting. Your company will simply decide that, hey, whatever the budgets were allocated for a TV or a billboard will just shift towards your. Right now, it has happened. Right now, I believe it is 100% shift. Obviously,
Interesting.
whatever billboards you had is completely shifted. In
Awesome.
some companies, it is less shifted. In some companies, it is still pending. Also, on a digital front, basic things which has happened is whatever campaigns were running before the COVID is everything on pause
Hmm.
because your messaging needs to change.
Right.
Um, so everyone is adapting,
Hmm.
but I feel traditional marketeers are facing a little issue in terms of budget because it has shifted. If it stays, it's gonna be a little issue for the team.
Super, super. I'm glad you mentioned the fact about the change in strategy with respect to engagement. We will get into that in
Yeah.
a bit of detail later. Before we do, Sindhu, help us understand what is it exactly that you look after in your role right now.
So, my name is Sindhu Biswal, and I work at Pocket Aces. Now, a lot of people have never heard about Pocket Aces, but they have heard about Filter Copy and Dice Media. So, Pocket Aces is actually the parent company.
Right.
It's a digital media entertainment house. Uh, it's one of India's largest entertainment house with
Right.
big brands under it. One is Filter Copy, one is Dice Media, one is Gobble, one is a gaming company called as Loco, and we recently just started two new brands which are our new channels. One is Jambo. It's an animation, Hindi animation, or we call it as Desi animation channel. In India, we never had a big Desi animation channel. We are now having. We are growing that. We also have another channel called as Nutshell, which is a non-fiction infotainment channel.
Hmm.
So now what I do is I look after growth strategy and digital marketing for all of these channels. My objective is to make sure people come, people retain. I promote web series. I make sure that videos go viral enough and everyone keeps laughing. If it's COVID or if it's not COVID, I make sure that people are having a good day.
Fantastic. That's a noble job to make people
Yes,
laugh.
absolutely.
Fantastic. So, why I asked you this question was because my next question is going to be related to an evolution or rather a change in marketing strategy. What is the biggest change that you have witnessed in the marketing strategy that you used to follow and the marketing strategy that you are going to be following now?
Okay, I'll take one exact use case so that everyone is specific. So obviously, everyone has shifted their marketing strategy. A lot of brands are creating
Absolutely.
content around COVID,
Mhm.
which, okay, that's a different discussion altogether. Like everyone is creating just content around COVID altogether. What we have done at Dice Media is we shot a full web series inside the lockdown. Now there are a lot of hassles inside it. Like your shooting can only happen when you're outside.
Yep.
You need directors and everything. We made a full web series out of it in just 5 to 7 days. We wrote it in 2 days. We executed. The trailer is launched yesterday. The episode is dropping today in next
Wow.
at 1 o'clock. It's in association with Bumble, Cadbury, which basically means that the sales team was able to lock brands in such a short duration. So on the content marketing front, this is the adaptive strategy we took. Now, why I'm telling adaptive? It's the topic. The series is called First. It's season 2 of a very hit series called First Season 1. The topic is very interesting and is very relevant. It's love in the lockdown. Uh, so your love story started in lockdown, and especially where dating apps started promoting virtual dating features. It's very much relevant, and I believe that a lot of people are doing it now. For me as a marketer, if my content is exactly contextual to whatever is happening right now, my strategies has changed a little bit. Like I'll be promoting the series to people who are in relationships. Interestingly, Facebook has opened up a new feature which is called long distance relationship.
Wow.
So I can literally target people who are in long distance relationships right now. So you can see the whole ecosystem is changing. Like Facebook, just recently I saw this targeting options coming up on the ads manager. So when ads manager is giving me the capability, now my uh, ads will talk in that language. So these are the basic shifts that has happened. Apart from the budget shift, like for some industries, your budget may be shortened. For our industry, at least for my company, the budgets are not tighter because we felt that no, this is the right time. We are not investing heavily. We have not scaled up our budget that heavily that we thought that okay, no, we should go all out. But whatever our budgets were, we have increased it a slight,
Amazing.
understanding these are the best times. So yeah, and also the budget efficiency has increased dramatically. Reason being, your economics has gone way down. Your CPVs, CPMs, everything is down. So the efficiency is much more high. So yeah, that's how it
Fantastic.
has impacted.
Fantastic. It's like I'm witnessing the flip side of a very, I'm seeing a very different scenario over here, and it's a complete opposite of what I have had, what I have witnessed with my chats with a few other folks from, of course, different
Right,
industry verticals. They
right,
are in a very different headspace right now, and that just goes to show how consumer behavior has
right,
changed, how it has
right,
evolved. So it's most
right.
definitely a really good time for OTT to be in right now. Now,
Right. Also, it actually, I just want to make one point here. So a lot of people tell that, hey, uh, OTT is right now the only industry or one of the only industry which is doing well. We are not just OTT. In fact, we are not OTT, traditional OTTs, which is we don't have our app, we don't have a
sure,
website, and
sure.
we have our distribution medium on other channels, which is Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. You can find it everywhere. What we have seen is two things actually. So when the demand goes high, your job when you're sitting on your bed and doing the job is to make sure supply is high. So you will see Amazon Prime is uploading content like, I mean, I feel that okay, they had this content for a 1 year. Now they have just said okay, screw it, we will not upload this in 1 year, hum dekh lenge baad mein jo hoga. And they are just uploading content right now. Now this is a very rapid strategy. Now you need to make sure after this thing is over, you still have to keep the supply same. So your cost is gonna go high because you have supplied everything at once. Same is with us. We decided that so our motto is to solve boredom, and we thought that this is the best time to execute our mission.
Hmm.
Uh, so we should just scale up. So our content production uploading capacity has gone way up. So it's not just about the demand also. If you're not able to supply it, we will also fail. So it's that.
Awesome, awesome. So, like you mentioned, a very nice point about ensuring that this growth that you are witnessing right now, that you are experiencing, that the whole industry is experiencing, needs to be sustainable. It needs to go well beyond the COVID-19 pandemic. Once it flattens out, it still has to be there. Otherwise, your costs are going to increase. You'll scramble to create new content, stuff like that.
Right, right.
Now, I'd like to, of course, position a question around retention, user retention. Is what is the most effective user retention strategy right now? Or rather, I won't say that. I would say I'll ask you a question differently. Uh, what is that one thing that will really help in creating an effective user retention strategy right now for digital consumer businesses?
Got it, got it. Actually, I'm glad you asked that question because right now everyone is talking about acquisition. I don't know why they're talking about acquisition because there is demand already. You are not going out and saying, hey, hey, buy me, buy me, buy me.
Absolutely.
The major job, if it's B2B, if it's a transaction company, product company, anything, the retention is a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
What I think right now, branding is the only way
Mm-hmm.
currently that you can do to make sure that it stays for a longer time. Let me give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I have my existing audience. Now I know my existing audience who used to know me or who has heard of me has a certain perception, which is positive sentiment, will just come up because they know that, hey, this company will deliver good content, will make me happy, will make my day good. So let me just go and consume the content. That's how you open Netflix or that's how you open Prime, Amazon Prime or anything else. Because you know that if you open this app, you will expect certain kind of videos and hence you are going there. If they are not able to provide you that, hence you lose the retention. Now the problem is with the new user acquisition. Now these new bunch of people who have come to you right now has a very different kind of a mentality
Expectation.
altogether,
Yep.
expectation altogether.
Yep.
So they were sitting, getting bored. Now these people are very much volatile because it's very difficult to keep them. Now, how do you keep them is what I feel is where the branding kicks in. Now, whatever your brand creates a perception right now is gonna stay after the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's the basic thing. If your brand, so for an example, let's say house party. Just taking an example. Now, house party for me was just created a perception that I can have fun on video calls with my friends rather than doing monotonous chats of gossips and something else.
Mm-hmm.
Now after COVID, I don't need that simple because
Mm-hmm.
my days are completely taken away by job and meeting people in real life. Now the perception versus reality game is very difficult. I don't know how House Party can solve that, but that's a very tricky game to solve. For it, it's a little easy. Now, let's say someone who is coming to watch our this uh, um, recent web series that we're releasing, it's around love. Now, people knew that hey, Dice Media produces positive content without gali galoch, which is relatable in nature. Now they'll expect okay, the second thing will come is gonna be in that sort. Now, if you are gonna keep that promise, they're gonna stick. If you are gonna not keep that promise and we are gonna completely shift and create a complete different show, then that user will not find any resemblance there and it will drop off. So that's how I look at retention right now. Every company is having their difference. I don't think your push notifications will solve retention right now. I don't think your emails will solve retention right now. You may send emails with subject line COVID is over, thank you for surviving with us. It won't work. uh, so this is just my thoughts these days.
Super, super. So, from what I've gathered, it's about being consistent. You mentioned not shocking the user into creating a all new experience. It's rather about being very consistent with the
Right,
same flavor that you have always been serving to the user. Most
right,
definitely. Now, of course, there have been so many instances of good branding examples that we have all come across in the past days,
right,
past few
right,
days or weeks, for that
right.
matter. I have seen a noticeable change, which I feel is it's an evolution most definitely for consumer brands in the way that they connect with their users. Uh, have you witnessed the same, or have you experienced the same? And if you have, what has that one noticeable factor? What is that one noticeable factor that you have experienced, which is different now with consumer brands and the way they connect with their users?
Sure. I have noticed one thing actually. So there are a lot of different stuff which is happening right now. Two key pointers or two key factors which I see right now in the content strategy, because right now all you can do is only content marketing, because everyone is on internet and your budgets are down. There is nothing else that you can do. Everyone is taking the support of meme marketing. That is one.
Okay.
So let's say a consumer brand like Dunzo used to have certain kind of a storytelling format. It's just sticking to the same, and people know that hey, Dunzo has certain kind of storytelling format, certain kind of illustrations, so they will stick to it. So they are just following that path, having that topical thing. People have the same perception about Amul, and Amul is just sticking to it. What interesting is a lot of B2B product companies, a lot of companies which were just putting memes out there, contextual to their industry, maybe once in 6 months, are now actually taking that leverage and understanding and seeing that there is a very high distribution power of meme marketing. That is one big change I have seen. Second big change I have seen is the change in storytelling and how powerful storytelling content uh, holds a place in people's hearts. Again, I see a lot of B2B companies doing the same. For an example, a lot of companies who are in product marketing had were doing this old school. I mean, it's still new school, but old school technique, which is selling ebooks, putting out content on webinars and all. I see people are still doing that with also a powerful medium of putting out stories, comics, illustrations where a product guy talking to this relatable content of what is happening right now, work from home joke marketing is how I term it, is something which has also kicked in. On LinkedIn, I see a lot of work from home relatable these pictures, which is funny in nature, which people can relate to. So there is a lot of shifting happening, but the crux is still the same, that people are understanding the power of stories and the large distribution power it holds. I have seen this is just scaling up.
Fantastic, fantastic. To be honest, I have been initially. I was pretty surprised to see a few of my favorite brands uh, talk in a very different way with their consumers. And of course, B2B brands are not really seen too many of them doing that. But certainly with consumer brands, I have seen that definite evolution with respect to the way they have started connecting. And which brings me to the next question. Uh, when I talk about a communication strategy, or rather the user engagement strategy, what is the single biggest focus area that brands need to look at right now and say this is what we need to have in our communication strategy?
I feel right now, if you're so the only communication strategy right now you're dealing with is either on your own platform or on a social media. There is nowhere else that you're gonna do. Even if your communication materials are out on your own platform, it's gonna be on social media. What I believe right now is engagement metrics, simple engagement metrics. If it's a video, then your engagement metrics is average view retention or average view duration. How much or to what length the user is watching your video. I With this also I want to put it out that I see that a lot of people are using videos or making videos, and we as consumers, the only metric that looks to us is the views. On Facebook, views is 3 second views. Now the trick with the 3 second view is the moment even if you click on the autoplay, or if the play button you click in or the autoplay starts, 3 second is gone. So your view number is a fudgy number. Now you as a marketer right now, if you are not able to crack the retention right now, you will be never able to crack, because right now the retention span on your phone by default is very high. So if your brand is not having that, then maybe you should be looking at something else. Uh, that is the only metric if you are doing videos as a form of content, is
Mm-hmm.
what I would suggest. Second metric, if you are doing anything else, which is a text, or if it's a photo, only focus on either shares or likes or comments. I don't see anything else you should be focusing on. I
Mm-hmm.
personally prefer shares in my industry, because shares are the metric of virality. Hence we create models to hack shares. Uh, it could be on Instagram. Now, for a long time, people used to think that Instagram is not a shareable model. Instagram is a shareable model. We have just not understood what is the button of the share. Now we have understood, we have hacked it. Hence, Filter Copy is the highest profile viewed Instagram channel, which crossed Virat Kohli even. So I
Wow,
think
fantastic.
brands, yeah, it was in last December. We were the highest profile viewed in India. We surpassed Virat Kohli and Akshay Kumar.
Amazing.
Uh, yeah, so it's just to find the only one engagement metric for you and just sticking to it. I don't think you should be looking at blanket numbers right now, which is views, impressions, reach, because that is for sure happening right now.
Awesome. Awesome. So, some advice for fellow marketers. What are the top three things that marketers need to be focusing on right now?
I think I am again saying retention, retention, retention. Right now, it's not the acquisition game. You have the demand. When lockdown over, when lockdown is over, you have a lot of competition. Hence, you need a lot of user acquisition strategies because market there is a lot of competition. User span is all over the place. Right now, if you're not able to crack the retention game, I don't think ever you will be able to crack retention game. Our retention span on all of our platforms has been extremely high. We
Mhm.
are not focusing on extra reach or extra additional impressions even. We are just focusing on just unique users or reach. Stick to that people, convert those people into a community, build a model where these people go inside the community, interact with each other, so that they don't go out when these times are over. That is one. Second is right now is the best time for any marketer where no one is coming to your desk and asking for infographic data or give me an Excel sheet. No one is doing that. Okay, I do understand, and I also face that people are just randomly calling without even
Mhm.
setting up meetings and all. That keeping aside, so since you have a lot of mind space, I think right now it's the best time for personal branding. That is one for sure. Second is learning new stuff. Now everyone has a different philosophy around learning new things. My philosophy is different. I don't see a lot of ebooks or a lot of courses doing good for me. So I simply arrange a half an hour call. I share some tricks of mine and I ask other marketers to share trick of theirs. That's it. That's it. Simple old school communication, how human to human interaction happens. Third
Absolutely.
thing, third thing, which I personally believe right now is having a growth mindset, not focusing a lot on changing your LinkedIn bio to growth, but just understanding how platform works. Like for a long time, when any marketer came into this industry, a lot of people directly started from learning how Facebook ads work rather than understanding how Facebook as a platform works and how people inside Facebook behave. Facebook is a understand Facebook as a neighborhood and how people interact in that neighborhood. Why people talk in a certain way on Facebook and the same people talk in a different way on Instagram. We never used to ask this question. I think it's the right time. We have enough time to understand the psyche so that once we are out and back to that hustle mind space where everyone is just bugging and user span is all over the place, we have enough learnings that time. So these are my three basic things which I am doing. Hence, I would suggest a lot of people to do.
Brilliant. I'm glad you mentioned that last bit where in, let's say, 5 or 6 months down the line, brands go back to their old ways and start bugging the user.
Right,
Now we're of course witnessing a massive shift in the consumer behavior, right? Consumers are uh, really not giving two hoots about what you have to say or whether you have a 20% discount. It's all about COVID this, safeguarding
right,
yourself. So empathy has become a massive theme, right? Everybody's saying
right.
you have to be empathetic and you have to humanize your communication. Is this going to be something that will continue well beyond 2020?
Well, I think it should continue because your brand is like 10 months you were in a different tone, and after that you are in your rude, so-called bullish, buy my
Exactly.
stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff
Exactly.
tone.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it should be there. If it's not there, then it's just bad branding. It's bad set of communication. You are a different person. You are having
True.
dual personalities. You are a different person during
True.
bad times, and
True.
when everything is good, you just don't care about customers. So
Fantastic. I
yeah,
agree. I completely agree. And which brings me to the last question. I'm a big sci-fi fan, so it makes me very excited to ask this. Are we headed
right.
into a work from home reality?
I personally think that number of work from homes that companies used to give will increase. They should increase because because right now two things. I'll be honest. I may sound blunt or rude. I don't care about that. It's just honesty. I was having a chat with a friend day before yesterday, and I quote. I exactly said the same thing. One is I honestly feel that since HRs have realized that increasing number of work from homes actually it may increase productivity because this is a life use case. It was not a 1 month lockdown. For us, it was a 3 month lockdown because we took work from home even before the lockdown happened.
Oh wow.
Our company
Okay.
took the step to just stay cautious and make everyone is safe. The other thing everyone is knowing right now is your productivity is not directly proportional to the number of working hours. It's as simple as that. So every managers out there, if they have not realized this right now, if managers manager have not realized it right now, I don't think they will ever realize because this is the best case scenario. So maybe stop micromanaging because right now, if you micromanage people,
Mhm.
it, I'm pretty sure you don't have time to micromanage because your 3 to 4 hours will be household chores, jhadu bartan and all.
Absolutely.
Uh, so I think it's gonna shift a little in terms of culture after this. If it's not going to happen, uh, then I can't say anything
Yeah,
about this.
well, I agree with you on, of course, a few points that you mentioned, and everybody. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about the impact of work from home and the fact that some people have said that productivity has definitely gone up. Some people
Right,
have, of course, said that no, they really crave the feeling of working together in a
right,
working environment in an office or something like that. I think it definitely depends on the way this whole virus and the pandemic situation plays out, and
right,
I, for one, feel that this is probably going we are probably going to be heading into a work from home reality for an extended period of time, at least for the digital businesses who have
yeah,
the luxury, rather, I would say, of working from home. But hey, it's all hearsay for now. Let's see how this plays out. But that's all that we have today. We have asked you all the questions. Sindhu, thank you so much for being so sporting and answering all those
thank you so much.
questions with so much candor. I'm very happy to hear that you guys are well, going full steam ahead right now. Continue to do that. Keep making kick-ass content. Keep making people laugh. uh, Really nice to have a chat with you.
Same, same. Thank you so much. I hope you guys do well.
Thank you,
I'm
thank you
very
so much.
happy.